In 1974, a young father walked into the True Value on Main Street in Keene, New Hampshire, with $90 in his pocket and a plan to buy a whole new storm door. His would not latch. It banged in the wind and let the cold in all winter, and he had decided the thing was finished. The owner listened, then walked out to the parking lot with him, took a screwdriver out of his own apron, and turned one screw on the door's closer a half turn. The door swung shut, soft and caught. He charged the man nothing. He lost a $90 sale in 90 seconds on purpose. That man bought every nail, every gallon of paint, and every tool he owned from that store for the next 31 years. That storm door fix is number 13 on this list. And the plainest thing that owner ever taught a customer, the one habit underneath every fix on it, is number 1. He was not a rare man. In 1974, there was a store like his on the main street of every town in America, and a man behind the counter who knew the answer before you finished the question. He did not sell you a new one. He sold you the part, told you how to put it in, drew you a diagram if you needed one, and sent you home. These men were not clerks. They were the last people in the country whose whole job was keeping your things alive. We traded that away for a bigger parking lot and a cheaper price. We were handed a warehouse where nobody knows anything, and a wall of new units in boxes, and no one at all to tell you the fix costs 90 cents. That knowledge did not die because it stopped working. It died because there was more money in the whole unit than in the part. Number 11 saves a refrigerator, the whole machine, with a part that costs less than lunch and takes 20 minutes. Number 4 is a 90-cent rod that has sent 1,000 people out to buy an entire new sink they never needed. And number 1 is the plainest habit on this list. It costs nothing, and it is the only one on here you can still do this Saturday. These 15 fixes were never about hardware. They were the mark of a man who fixed the small broken thing instead of buying the big whole one. Not a customer, a neighbor. Every fix on this list that Keene man had in his own 2 hands and gave away across a counter for 40 years. If that kind of store is worth remembering, subscribe and stay to the end, because the last one is the one that matters most. Let us count down the 15 lost True Value fixes every dad knew before the big box stores took over. Number 15. The door sweep. Cold pours under the back door all winter. You feel it on your ankles, and you are paying to heat the driveway. You do not need a door. You need the rubber strip that screws to the bottom of the one you have. You measure the width, cut the sweep with a hacksaw, hold it so it just kisses the threshold, and drive 3 screws. Set it to brush the floor, not drag it, or the door fights you every time. For the family heating with oil in a New Hampshire winter, that $4 strip was the difference between a warm kitchen and a bill they dreaded. The hardware store kept sweeps in a bin by the door in October because the owner knew exactly what the first cold night would bring through his door. The Keene man moved that bin to the front every autumn without being asked. Not a door that failed. A gap you close for $4. Number 14, the strike plate. The door will not latch without a shove, or it rattles loose in the frame, and you are looking at new doors. The door is fine. The little brass plate on the jamb has shifted a 1/16 of an inch. You close the door slow and watch where the latch hits. Then either file the plate's opening a hair or back the screws out, move the plate, and drive them into fresh wood. Rub the latch with a pencil, and it will mark the plate exactly where it is striking. For an older woman living alone, a door that latched on the first pull was not convenience. It was the feeling of being safely shut in for the night. The Keene owner kept strike plates and shims in a drawer he could reach without looking, because he fixed that same complaint 100 times a year. Not a door you replace, a plate you move. Number 13, the storm door closer. This is the fix from the top of our story. The door slams like a gunshot, or it drifts and never latches, and the whole door gets blamed. The closer is adjustable, and almost no one knows it. There is a small screw at the end of the cylinder. Turn it one way to slow the door, the other way to speed it up, in half turns, testing each time. If the door still will not latch, the washer on the closer's rod has to be set in the second hole to hold it open, a half turn at a time, and let the door tell you. For the man with a wife and 3 kids going in and out all summer, a door that shut soft and caught every time ended an argument he had been having for 2 years. The Keene owner fixed that door in the parking lot for free and got 31 years of a man's business for it, which is a trade the big box has never once understood. Not a door that failed, a screw nobody told you about. Number 12, the cabinet hinge. A kitchen cabinet door hangs crooked, rubs its neighbor, or will not stay shut, and someone says the word remodel. The hinges have screws in them made to move. On a modern hinge, there are 2 or 3 adjusters, one for side to side, one for depth, one for height, and a quarter turn on the right, one squares the door. Adjust 1 screw at a time and shut the door after each, or you will chase it all afternoon. For the family that could not dream of a new kitchen, 20 minutes with a screwdriver gave them back a kitchen they were not ashamed of. Every hardware man in America knew that most crooked cabinet doors are not broken, only out of adjustment, and he told you so for free. The Keene owner would draw the 3 screws on a scrap of paper and hand it to you with your change. Not a kitchen you gut, a hinge you turn.
Before we go on, I made something special for you. A guide for men like us who still believe a man should be able to fix his own home. It's the forgotten handyman secrets, the old-fashioned repair tricks our grandfathers used to fix anything around the house and keep it running for life. But these skills are disappearing fast, and once they're gone for good. Don't pay a repairman ever again. Scan the QR code on screen or click the link below. Go ahead, I'll wait right here.
Number 11, the refrigerator door gasket. The refrigerator runs constantly. The food is warm at the back, and the appliance store is happy to sell you a new one for hundreds. The rubber seal around the door has gone hard and cracked, so the cold falls out. Shut the door on a dollar bill, and if you can pull it out easily, the gasket is done. You order the gasket for your model, soak it in warm water so it goes soft, peel back the old one, and set the new one under the retaining screws, loosened, not removed. Work one side at a time and do not remove the door. For a family with 4 kids and a full freezer, a $12 part in a man's own hands saved a machine worth a month of his pay. The hardware store could order a gasket for any model in America out of a paper catalog behind the counter and have it by Thursday. The Keene owner ordered hundreds of them and never once told a man to buy a new refrigerator. Not an appliance that died. A rubber seal gone hard. Number 10, the shovel handle. The handle on a good shovel or rake snaps, and the whole tool goes to the curb, and the head on it is better steel than anything on a shelf today. You knock the old rivet out, drive the broken stub free, and fit a new handle from the rack. You seat it hard, set a new rivet or screw, and the tool is whole. Buy the handle by taking the old one to the store and matching it, because the taper is what matters, not the length. For the man who dug his own garden every spring, this was how a good tool stayed in the family instead of the dump, and how a shovel outlived the man who bought it. Hardware stores kept a whole rack of bare wooden handles by the door, every size, for a country that expected to rehandle rather than rebuy. The Keene owner sold handles off that rack until the day the store closed. Not a tool that broke, a handle you replace. Stop the count for a moment, because the story of what happened to that counter is not the one you would guess. The true value. Name goes back to 1932, when a Chicago wholesaler put it on a line of hand tools. The company most people remember, Cotter and Company, was founded in Chicago in 1948. And here is the part that matters. For most of its life, True Value was a cooperative, which means it was owned by the hardware store owners themselves, the men behind those counters, buying together so a small store on a main street could stock what a giant could. That is what it was. Then, in 2018, the retailers no longer owned it. An investment firm bought control. 6 years later, on October 14th of 2024, True Value filed for Chapter 11 bankruptcy in Delaware. The court filings listed liabilities of up to $1 billion. The whole company was sold to a rival for $153 million. A company built by hardware men, owned by hardware men for 70 years, was sold to investors and was in bankruptcy court within 6. That was not a store failing to keep up. That was the counter being turned into an asset. Number 9. The wheelbarrow tire. The wheelbarrow tire goes flat and rotten, and the barrow gets pushed into the weeds behind the shed, and next spring you buy a new one. The tray is steel and the frame is fine. You pull the axle bolt, drop the wheel out, and put a new one in, or swap the whole wheel assembly for a few dollars. A solid rubber wheel never goes flat again, and it is the last one you will ever buy for it. For the man hauling stone and mulch by himself all summer, a working barrow was his back's only friend. The hardware store carried wheels, axles, handles, and the bolts for all of them, because a wheelbarrow was understood to be a machine you maintained. The Keene owner kept the wheels stacked in the back like tires and could match one by eye. Not a barrow you replace, a wheel you swap. Number 8. The doorbell button. The doorbell quits, and it feels like something inside the walls has died, and you think electrician. It is almost always the button. 2 screws, 2 wires, no danger, because the button runs on a few volts. You unscrew it, touch the 2 bare wires together, and if the bell rings, the button is the problem, and a new one costs a few dollars. If the bell stays silent, the transformer in the basement is the culprit, and it is a $12 part on a junction box. Touch the wires together first. That one test tells you everything. For the older couple who could not hear a knock, a working bell was how the world reached them. The hardware store sold both parts and drew you a diagram on the back of the receipt. Not a job for an electrician. A button and 2 screws. Number 7. The light switch. A switch starts to crackle, or the light flickers when you touch it, and the wall itself feels like a problem. The switch is a $2 part that wears out from being flipped 50,000 times. You shut the breaker off and you test that it is dead. You pull the plate and the switch, Note which wire lands where, move them one at a time to the new switch, and screw it back in. Kill the breaker and test it before your hands go near it. Never take a chance on this one. For a widow in a big old house, a switch that worked was one less thing slipping away from her, and one more thing her own hands could still put right. The store sold switches in a bin by the register, and the man behind it would tell you exactly which wire went where, twice, until he was sure you had it. Not a wall that failed, a switch worn out. Number 6. The lamp socket. A lamp starts flickering, the switch inside gets loose, and the lamp goes to the curb even though it is a good one. The socket is the part that wears out. You unplug it, squeeze the shell where it says press, lift it off, back the 2 wires off the screws, and wire a new socket on, hot to brass and neutral to silver. Tie an underwriter's knot in the cord below the socket, so a tug never pulls the wires off the screws. For the family with a lamp that came from a grandmother, this $3 part kept a thing in the house that could not be bought again. Hardware stores sold sockets, cord, plugs, and harps loose in little drawers because a lamp was a thing you rebuilt, not a thing you replaced. The Keene owner rewired lamps on the counter for anyone who asked. Not a lamp that died, a socket you swap. Number 5. The plug end. The plug on an appliance or an extension cord cracks, or a prong bends and sparks, and out goes a perfectly good cord. You cut the old plug off. You strip a half-inch of each wire, open a new plug, land each wire under its screw, wrapped the way the screw turns, and tighten the clamp on the jacket. Hook each wire clockwise under the screw so tightening pulls it in instead of pushing it out. For a man who ran his tools off one long cord, a good cord was worth real money and was fixed, never discarded. Hardware stores kept a wall of plug ends, cord ends, and wire by the foot sold to people expected to do their own work with their own hands. The Keene owner sold cord off a spool by the foot and cut it in front of you. Not a cord you throw out, an end you replace. Here is the part of his story we have skipped. The Keene man did not come to that counter knowing the answer to everything. He came to it at 11 years old in 1948, sweeping the floor of his father's store for $1 a week. One afternoon, a woman came in and tried to describe a broken thing to him with her hands, shaping it in the air, and the boy nodded like he understood and sold her a part. She drove back the next day with the wrong part in a paper bag and a look on her face he never forgot. His father did not raise his voice. He took the woman's money back, made it right, and then he told his son the only 4 words of business advice he ever gave him. "Bring me the piece." "Never guess," he said. "A man who guesses sells one part twice. A man who sees the piece keeps the family for 30 years. That boy stood behind that counter for the next 40 years, and he never once guessed. And he taught a whole town to walk through his door with the broken thing already in their pocket. And that habit, the plainest thing in the store, is still coming. It is number 1. Number 4, the pop-up drain rod. The bathroom sink stopper will not seal or will not lift, and the water either sits there or runs out all night, and a plumber will tell you about a new sink. Under the sink is a thin metal rod running from the lift knob down into the drain, held by a spring clip and a pivot nut. That rod is 90 cents. You unclip it, move it up or down a hole in the strap, or replace the whole assembly with a new one and a fresh gasket. Move the clip one hole at a time and test the stopper each time. For the family with one bathroom and no money for plumbers, this 90-cent rod ended a daily irritation that had lasted a year. The hardware store sold the rod, the clip, and the whole pop-up assembly loose on a card and would show you which was which. The Keene owner talked more people out of new sinks than he could count. Not a sink that failed, a rod out of adjustment. Number 3, the toilet handle. The handle goes loose or snaps off, or you have to hold it down for the whole flush, and someone starts talking about a new toilet. The handle is a $5 part and a plastic nut. You lift the lid, unhook the chain from the lift arm, and turn that big nut inside the tank the opposite way from what you expect, because it is reverse threaded. Then you set the new handle in, tighten it, and hook the chain with a little slack. It is a reverse thread. Turn it the wrong way and you will snap it, and every plumber in the country knows that and does not always say so. For the family whose one bathroom served 6 people, a handle that worked was the difference between a working morning and a fight. The hardware store hung handles on a pegboard in 5 finishes because it was the single most common thing to break on a toilet. The Keene owner sold that handle to half the town at one time or another. Not a toilet you replace, a handle you screw in. Number 2, glass cut while you wait. A window pane cracks, and today it is a whole new sash or a whole new window, and a salesman in your kitchen. It used to be a Saturday errand. You knocked the broken glass out of the sash, scraped the old putty back to bare wood, and carried the empty sash into the store. The man measured the opening, laid a sheet of glass on the counter, scored it once with a cutter, and snapped it clean over the edge. It cost a few dollars. Have the pane cut a 1/16 small in both directions, so it seats without binding when the wood swells. Then you bed it in glazing compound at home, set the points, and the window is a window again. That was the whole idea of the store. A man cut a piece of glass to fit your house, in front of you, out of a sheet. He did not sell you a window. He sold you the glass and the putty and 30 seconds of instruction. The Keene owner cut glass on that counter every Saturday for 40 years, and he cut it a 1/16 small without being asked, because he knew that house. Not a window you buy, a pane he cuts to fit. Number 1, bringing the broken piece with you. And it is the thing this whole list has been circling since the first minute. Before the gasket and the rod and the handle, before any single fix on this list, the Keene owner asked every person who came through his door for one plain thing. Bring me the piece. Do not describe it. Do not shape it in the air with your hands. Do not guess, and do not let me guess. Break it off, put it in your pocket, and set it on the counter, and we will match it. That is the whole habit. It sounds like nothing. It is everything, because a man who walks in with the broken piece in his pocket has already decided something before he ever gets to the counter. He has decided that the small thing is what is broken, and not the whole thing. That is the entire difference between a hardware store and a big box. One sells you the piece, the other sells you the unit. He did not learn that from a business school. He learned it at 11, sweeping a floor, from a father who told him, "Bring me the piece, never guess." Here is the part worth sitting with, and it is the best news on this whole list. When True Value filed for bankruptcy in October of 2024 and was sold off for $153 million, the independent stores were not part of it. They were never part of it. They are independently owned, all 4,500 of them, and they stayed open through the whole thing, and most of them are open right now. The company that sat above them went to court. The counter did not. There is probably one within 20 minutes of you, with a man in an apron behind it who has been waiting all day for somebody to walk in with a broken piece in their pocket and ask him a real question. That is where the chain gets mended. Not in a warehouse, at a counter this Saturday with the piece in your hand. Not the biggest fix on this list, the plainest, and the only one that was ever really yours. None of it needed a big store. That was the point, and it is the thing the warehouse can never sell you. A man with a broken piece in his pocket and a counter to set it on owed nothing to anyone. He fixed the door instead of buying the door. He saved the refrigerator with a rubber seal. He carried a sash into town and carried a window home. That store was not cheaper, and everybody knew it. What it had was a man who would talk you out of a $90 sale in 90 seconds because he wanted your grandchildren's business. We did not lose the fixes. Every one of them still works, and every part is still made, and every one of them is still sitting in a bin 20 minutes from your house. What we nearly lost was smaller than any of it, and it fit in 4 words. A father said to a boy with a broom in his hands, "Bring me the piece."